Salam Time. Greetings. This is your Wyndham, your brother, Twist Aleph, Twist One. Greeting you in the name of the King of Kings, Kedamawi Haile Selassie the First, King of Kings, Ethiopia, and his son, our Master and Savior, Black Master and Savior, Yeshua Moshiach. Getachim and Hanatachim, Yeshua Moshiach. Okay, reporting forward, Fruits of Divine Ministries of H.I.M. So, we're going to call this one the tithe. When are you supposed to give it? Who are you supposed to give it to? And what exactly is the tithe? Because, you know, in the churches now, they pass around this little plate and they tell you put your 10% of whatever money you make or whatever in there and you'll be blessed and that's your tithe. And people say, well, it says in the Bible you give your 10%. Yes, but to who? And what exactly is the tithe, though? Because, see, the children of Israel, right, they gave a tenth of or a portion of everything they had. You know? So, but the tithe, you know, in particular, is another thing that they gave also. So let's see what the tithing is. I'm going to show you that it has nothing to do with money whatsoever. So if you believe that you're putting money in a little plate and that's you're giving your tithe, you feel good about yourself, you think that's the tithe, that's wrong. I'm here to edify. I'm not here to bash you. I'm here to show you the truth if you're looking for the truth. So we're going to go to Deuteronomy chapter 14. Verse 22. We'll start there. That's in my what will let Professor Kaduz Ahadum Lak. The name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. That we may be guided in truth. Alright, so Deuteronomy is the KJV, King James Version Bible. Here we go. Thou shalt truly tithe all the increase of thy seed. So we see it's telling us that we should, and this is after we come into the land, of course. All these things are to be done after we get to the land that was promised to us. What was promised to them there and being promised to us to come. So, but what is the tithe? Well, it says, thou shalt truly tithe all the increase of thy seed. You know, like the plant, everything that's edible. Watch. Thy seed, that the field bringeth forth year by year. So you tithe the increase of thy seed, that the field bringeth forth year by year, and thou shalt eat before Yahweh, thy Elohim. So the tithing is a feast that you eat before Yahweh. Buduku, blessed be he. It's not money that you give, it's a feast. It has to do with food, substance. So, and thou shalt eat, 23, and thou shalt eat before Yahweh thy Elohim, Buruku, in the place which he shall choose to place his name there, right? So it's going to be a place that he choose to say this is the spot where everybody comes to worship. This is why you had Hebrews traveling from miles around in other countries to come to Jerusalem to worship. Like the Ethiopian eunuch, he was in Jerusalem for the worshiping and the festival, the holiday. So he got baptized on his way back to where? Ethiopia. So there must have been Hebrews down in Ethiopian. So this eunuch was a Hebrew. That's why he came to worship. So the place that Yahweh choose to place his name, that's the place we go to pay the tithe or to give the tithe. It says to place his name there, the tithe, and this is telling you what the tithing is right here. Deuteronomy chapter 14, verse 23. And thou shalt eat before Yahweh thy Elohim in the place which he shall choose to place his name there, the tithe of thy corn, of thy wine, and of thine oil, and of the firstlings of thy herd, and of thy flocks. Thou mayest learn to fear Yahweh thy Elohim always. And if the way be too long for thee, so that thou art not able to carry it, like if you're too far away, because we were scattered, we were all over, right? We had lands, and we were miles and miles, hundreds of miles away from each other. And now we got all these things for the tithe and all this food and everything for the tithe. He said, if this journey to get to the place where he places his name and said we should worship there, if that be too long for thee, so that thou art not able to carry it, or if the place be too far, if the place be too far, hold up, sorry. Okay, and if the place be too far from thee, which Yahweh thy Elohim shall choose to set his name there, when Yahweh thy Elohim has blessed thee, given you all this substance, then shall, or when Elohim has given you all the substance, then shalt thou turn it into money and bind up the money in thy hand. So here's where it talks about money as far as tithing is concerned. It said if the journey be too far and you got too much stuff to carry, then sell it and turn it into money. But what do you do with the money? You put it in a pan and give it to, no, listen, it's the tithe. It says you shall bind the money up in thy hand, thou shalt bless thee, then thou shalt turn it into money, which means sell all the things you have, and bind up the money in thy hand, and shall go to the place which Yahweh the Elohim shall choose. So there's a place that he chose for us to go to worship. He said, if you got too much stuff to carry to go there, then sell it for money, then bring the money to that place, and thou shalt bestow that money for whatsoever thy soul lusteth after. Right? Means you buy stuff for the feast. You go, if you got all this stuff, you can't take it with you, you sell it. Then when you get there, you redeem it. You know what I'm saying? You go and buy the food that you would have brought with you. So, therefore, it's like people say, well, they didn't have money back then. Of course they had money back then. Or they say, well, we don't farm now, so we can't pay a tithe like that. Yeah, but you can go to the store and buy food for a feast. But that's not even the haul of it. The haul of it is, when are you supposed to pay your tithe? Is it every Sunday or every Sabbath day? No, let's keep reading. So we know that the tithing right now is food, is a feast, it's not money. Here it says, if you have too much stuff, you sell it for money, then you go to the place where you're going to have the feast, and then you bestow it. You buy everything that thy heart lusts after, for oxen, sheep, or wine, or strong drink, or whatsoever thy soul desireth. Ahu. Abetu. Father of the house, okay? Now, and thou shalt eat there before Yahweh thy Elohim, and thou shalt rejoice, thou and thine household, and the Levite that is within thy gates, thou shalt not forsake him, for he have no part nor inheritance with thee. At the end of 3 years shalt thou bring forth all the tithe. So after 3 years, every 3 years, you tithe. Not every Sunday, not every Saturday, not whenever they had some off the wall, out of the blue church service, they pass the plate around. Put your tithing in there. Put your tithing in there. I remember one time, back when I was lost, I put $100 in the tithing plate, and I needed $90 to keep the lights on. Now I thought about it. I just gave $100 to the church, but I'm praying for $90 that I had in my hand, but just gave it to the church. That don't make sense, do it? So, what we learn, the tithing is a feast or food, and has nothing to do with money. And if you have too much stuff to carry to go to the feast, you go to the feast, then you redeem it for money. You redeem it for food. And every 3 years, thou shalt bring all the tithe of the increase the same year. for wine, strong drink. Okay, within that gates. Okay. It says, and thou shalt whatever thy soul desireth, and thou shalt eat there before Yahweh thy Elohim, Buruku, blessed be he, and thou shalt rejoice, thou and thy household, and the Levite that is within thy gates, thou shalt not forsake him, for he have no part nor inheritance with thee. Because remember, the Levites, they didn't get any land. So everything that the other 11 tribes took in went to the Levites, right? Including the tithe. So first of all, when you say you're giving your tithe to the church, you're already oh, you're already off, because you're, first of all, that tithe is for the Levite. So if the person that you're giving it to is not a Levite, you're already wrong, because that's his portion. So it says, after 3 years thou shalt bring forth all the tithe of the increase the same year, and shall lay it up within thy gates. And the Levite, because he has no part or inheritance with thee, end of 7 years thou shalt make. Oh, I went down to the next chapter. My bad. Be getting all excited. Okay, increase the same year, lay it up for within thy gates. And the Levite, because he has no part nor inheritance, with thee, and the stranger and the fatherless and the widow, which are within thy gates, shall come and shall eat and be satisfied, that Yahweh thy Elohim may bless thee in all thy work of thy hand, which thou doest. So when you've been misled to think that you're paying tithes, and you're not. You're just fueling the fire of the furnace, sitting in them temples of Baal, Babylon fall. Till next time, this is your Wyndham. Twist Aleph. I'll leave you in Yeshua Shalom. Let's wake up. It's time to go home. These are the last days. Shalom.